Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Ripper here. It is the last day of the year of 2020. And what a crazy year. Everybody that I've talked to has talked about how they can't wait for 2020 to end. There's been a lot of crazy stuff in 2020. I have a feeling it's going to get a little crazier here in the next 10 to 15 minutes with this first guest that I have for the evening. Matter of fact, I'm just going to bring him on. Let's get this thing started. Before I bring them on, let me warn you, if you are offended by, I don't know, anything, you might not want to watch. No, I'm just kidding. All right, here we have Vernon Yates. Now, I've talked to Vernon many times before, but never on video on my channel. We've talked in person. I came out to your place. We've talked on the phone many times. Matter of fact, just recently, you had someone that threatened you with, you did a news segment after the attack at Big Cat Rescue, and you received a threatening phone call or something. Isn't that right?
Well, actually, there was two of them, but the one, the phone number was blocked, but the one that we got the phone number, I know who the people are and everything at this point. Yeah, they warned me that I better leave Carole Baskin alone, and I just laughed at them.
Do you think they were serious? Like, do you think that what if you didn't? Like, what if you didn't speak up and speak the truth about things? Do you think they would just call you again, or you think they'd knock on your door?
I don't know, because I did ask that question. Well, if I don't, what are you going to do? Because I will die and go to hell before I leave her alone. She has no problem lying about me, and I will tell as many people as I can. I mean, I reached a point in my life where I just don't give a damn no more. Okay, I mean, so let her come. I mean, those people who live in Florida and been around us knows that I have publicly looked at her and asked her, is it time for me to disappear yet? So maybe someday I will disappear.
Well, if you do, there will be a team of people digging and looking for you, as there are people looking for Don Lewis as well. But yeah, it's a serious issue, because we do have people that come forward and they get phone calls, threatening phone calls. I mean, I've gotten some crazy emails and calls, and now if I get a blocked call to my personal number, I just don't even answer it anymore, because some of them are just real crazy. But
well, you got to answer them. I mean, you got to sit back and argue. I will take on anybody like that and sit there and laugh at them. Okay. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, because maybe one of those people really will be psychotic enough to come and do something to me. But no, I'm not running for cover. Not only just with Carole, with anything in my life. I try to live my life a decent, clean life and truth, and I won't run from anybody. I don't give a damn who they are, whether it be law enforcement or anybody in the government or any other nut job. I'm not running from them.
And you're especially not running from Carole or any of her minions. Yeah, yeah.
No, I mean, all the people around here know the stuff that I've said to her over the years. So I keep asking, is it time for me to disappear?
Does she ever answer that question? She won't comment.
Yeah. She won't accommodate me.
Now, the last time I came out to visit you, someone by the name of Michelle got me drunk out there. So I brought alcohol this time, and I'm in a controlled environment, so I'm going to limit myself. But in honor of Michelle, I'm going to have a cold beer. And I know the people that are watching right now, they're all excited, because the last time I started drinking on this channel, I started calling people live. And well, actually, it wasn't this channel. It was a channel out of the UK. And it was quite hysterical, because I called someone that I'll just leave it at that. But If you haven't heard about it, I'll have to send you the link and the timestamp of when it happened. That's all I'll say about it. But
see, I don't even have to drink to do it. I would rather not drink, and I would rather sit there and listen to people and listen to the stupidity that they come up with. I mean, I had an animal activist person, my friend Vince, screaming and hollering at me, and I told her, I know a way to stop all the world's problems. And she said, how? And I said, stop children. And I said, then you won't have gun problems. You won't have this problem. What did she scream at me? Loud enough to, you've been to my house.
Yeah.
Loud enough it brought my neighbors out. She screams at me, stay out of my uterus.
What?
Yeah, and I just laughed at her and said, ma'am, I'm not talking about abortion here. I'm just talking about zero population, and then everything would be fixed on this earth.
It would be, wouldn't it?
Yes. I mean, you think about it, everything would be fixed. I mean, we would need no more to burn rainforests. We'll need no more. So anytime that I can engage somebody, and I truly do mean this part, this isn't a joke, I am ready and willing, for the simple fact that, as I told this woman, you might say something that will actually change my mind. Because a lot of people don't know that in my early years, I was a pretty hardcore animal rights person. And I had things said to me, and things started changing, and then I started looking at things in a different way. So I like to think that I'm very open-minded, and I will look at things differently within some kind of a reasons.
All right, so let's talk about you're an animal activist. What caused you to? Well, before we go there, I know what you do, but explain to the people watching what you do. I mean, I've been to your place. You have alligators. You have big cats. You have, I don't know if you still have the primate outside.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So what do you do?
Well, basically, I started wildlife rescue to deal with injured wildlife. And we also took on a role that was very needed, and is still needed today, actually all over the country. And that is to assist law enforcement in animals, whether the animal be running at large or the animal is illegal possession or so forth, which is still tied to Carole Baskin's, because I've actually removed animals from Carole Baskin's twice, although she does not like to admit to it. We took leopards away from her for illegal possession, and we went back in there and took a lion out of there for allegations that the lion was being abused. All I can say is that when I had him in my facility, I stood in a cage with him and brushed his mane. I never seen the behavior that the lion was exhibiting when he was there. So that has been my life. My life has been assisting law enforcement with animals that need a place to go.
Okay, so are you kind of like the dog catcher of the exotic animal world in that area?
Pretty much so. I've done my fair share of just about every kind of animal under the sun that if it was running, creeping, or crawling, and it was an exotic especially, we were there to capture it, take possession of it, and then determine when and where, how it would go.
Okay. I want to get back to that, but before I forget, because the last time you and I talked in person and Michelle got me drunk, there was a question that I wanted to ask you that I forgot until the very end. Meat grinder. Meat grinder at Wildlife on Easy Street. Was there one there or not?
No, there was two. And
Okay.
it was because Don Lewis wanted to sell one of them to me. And I really wasn't. I was actually at Easy Street very back in the beginning, because Don had all kinds of stuff stored there. And I met up with Don, and he was showing me all the different stuff that they had that he wanted to sell. And turned out there was nothing there that I really wanted. But no, I swear on a stack of Bibles and a thunderstorm that there was two meat grinders there.
That's what I've heard also from many witnesses, that there were two.
Yeah.
Did he, like, do you remember anything about them?
Not particularly, because it wasn't something that I was even concerned in. So, I mean, I really just didn't care.
Do you remember if they were something you'd mount on your cabinet and you'd crank by hand?
Oh, by all means, no. All the times that Carole has showed this little meat grinder on the counter, that's a living joke because these things were big commercial. One of them, if I remember right, was built by Obart, and I don't remember who the other one was. But no, these were big commercial meat grinders. These were not some little piece of something that, would just sit on your kitchen counter. And if you put this on your kitchen counter won't be there anymore because the weight would crush them down.
That brand is the exact brand that I've heard from other people that I've talked to. So,
well, yeah. And I mean, they were there. I can't help but tell you what I've personally saw. I mean, I try to pride myself pretty good that I try to be honest and straightforward. And maybe that comes from my years of working with FWC, and that is that I'm not going to fudge. I'm not going to, here it is. If you don't like it, you don't like it.
There's no reason to make up a story about having a meat grinder or not. I like the people that I've spoke to that saw them, I've asked them why would Carole make up a story that there wasn't an industrial or commercial meat grinder? It makes no sense to me that you would try to hide that unless, either someone's a pathological liar or someone is hiding something. And I'm not going to ask you the question. I'm just thinking out loud. But if you're going to lie about it and it wasn't used, I don't know. It's odd to me that so many people saw the meat grinders out there. And
well, I personally don't believe Carole can distinguish the difference between the truth and the lie. She told too many lies. Come on, let's go look at the 911 animal abuser, where she writes in there that I have physically attacked her twice, but she can't come up with any proof of that. She has no police report. Once she told the story that it took 2 officers to pull me off of her. She can't come up with who the officers were. She can't come up when, how, and anything else. And this the way today's our society today. That's something that probably should be looked at because there's more police wrongdoings. Because here I am beating up on Carole, and the cops didn't do anything about it, really.
Right.
So they should go and look at that. It is. There was a time when I was upset as much as Joe, maybe even more in some ways. And then I finally had to find my own place in my own mind. I just don't give a shit no more. I'm just fed up with it. She's a liar. She can't back it up, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with her stories. And why she continues to tell them, I don't know. But one day I think it's going to catch up to her sooner than later. These leopards you talked about, there were two leopards that you took from Wildlife on Easy Street.
Yes.
And are these leopards, were they tied to a court case?
Yeah, the FWC brought charges against her, and then I don't know all the parts that they settled their part, but Don and Carole Lewis filed a lawsuit against me for them not being able to have a Class 1 permit in the state of Florida. Like, I don't have any control over the state of Florida. But that dragged me into the case, and then when my lawyer got into it and it went into mediation, and what I was told that I can say about that court case is that I left it because at their request it was sealed, that I left that mediation with ownership of the leopards and a whole bunch of money. And I've always joked when everybody's brought that up about Carole Baskins and lawsuits, I just laugh and say, if that was losing, I hope I never win. So, because she'll tell you that she's never lost a lawsuit. So, yeah, hey, If I was losing, I don't want to win.
Yeah, you kept the animals, and when your business, your place, you have boarding fees. So when you go and capture these animals or whatever, you have to feed them, you take care of them. And I've seen your place. You're close to these animals. Like, they know you. Like, they recognize you. Like, even the alligator. How big is the alligator that's out there?
The biggest one we got is about 13 and a half feet. And yeah, he knows who I am.
Right. And I mean, and you have a deer. Like,
Yeah.
you have a deer that, well, was inside your house. I mean, like, it was in there laying on the couch.
Yeah, she's probably on the couch right now watching TV.
Right. So these animals, they know you. So you have to, I mean, you have to have money to feed them, take care of them, and all that. So part of that case was probably boarding fees and who knows what else. And you can't talk much about it. But yeah, she does like to say that she's never lost a court case. But
well, anybody that hears that, just look at her and say, really? What about Vernon Yates? Well, that'll shut her up real fast. Because, again, like I said, she says she's never lost. And I'm going to say, okay, if that's losing, I don't want to win.
Yeah, I gotcha. And then the lion. What's the story on the lion that you took from out there?
The owner, which is someone's name you know of, Susan. She had to get it out of Easy Street, and she actually paid me to come get it, transport it, and hold it. And, I mean, it was, a major ordeal to get it out of there, along with the veterinarian that drugged it. And I had it at my place till Susan got her cage done for it, and then Judith went on. And that's why I said, I mean, when we went to get the cat would charge the wire. I mean, it was mad at the world. And I don't know, but it changed at my place. I mean, I've had many cats come in there that were pretty damn upset. And we've turned them around to where they want attention. They want to be petted and stroked and so forth.
So do you think spending time with these animals and what do you call it? What do you call it when you pet them or handle them? Or is there a word that you guys...
It's basically used as close contact.
Okay. So I've seen videos of Carole where she's got these animals behind her and they look like they're ready to rip her head off. Like, even one interview, she said something about, if I went in there, that animal would tear me apart or something to that effect. And she claims that they don't do close contact with the animals there. Now, I've seen some videos that I'm not so sure that statement is true. But
well,
I can't...
She's tried it over the years, and she's had a lot of people hurt. Okay? And I'm not exaggerating when I call it a lot, because the poor woman who recently got her arm chewed up by the cat,
Candy,
she ain't the first. Okay? Right. There's a list of them. Why they won't come forth, why they won't sue her, those are all who knows why. But I've already talked to a couple of lawyers already involved in this crap of this latest woman, and I see a lot of flaw in a lot of parts of it. But, as I told one of the media that got my death threats against me, I laughed at them and said, they asked, what do I think of Carole's response? And I laughed at them and said, did you not watch Tiger King? You already know not to believe Carole. And then my next question was, how come I've dealt with more cats than she has? I've done more things with my cats, and you've never been here doing this kind of an interview for a cat hurting somebody here. We just don't do it. I mean, I think it's criminal the way Carole is trying to throw this 68-year-old woman under the bus. If that woman had any smarts, concerns, care, that woman should be hiring the biggest law firm she can get her hands on and go after Carole, because what I do know of it so far, and the facts are not all out, there's a lot of negligence on Big Cat Rescue side. There's a lot of it, in my opinion, because if you have an animal that has a history like that tiger should have been dealt with totally different from any other tiger.
Yeah, because there is a history with that tiger. That came from, what country did that come from?
Guatemala, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Guatemala, and there was a group of cats. Is that Carole coming after you? But there was a group of cats that tiger was with that basically ripped a guy's arms off. I mean,
yeah, I've seen articles that says a cat is actually some guy took both of his arms off. You know, I mean, just time will tell without listening to Carole's propaganda as to the truth on all of it. In time, we'll all know the truth of what really happened there, because you can't believe anything Carole says. She can blame it on that woman all she wants, but it's not necessarily the woman's fault. I mean,
right? Yeah, because the statement that I read, she said that Candy said she just wasn't thinking, and she had to reach in. There was a clip, a clip that they had. I don't know if it was like a carabiner or what it was, but
well, even if she screwed up in that scenario, how would anybody forget the woman? Anybody? How is anybody going to reach in there and get the clip off without their arm going in the cage with the tiger?
Right.
That is one point that, believe me, is yet to come, but it's going to come towards FWC as to somebody really seriously ought to look at it. Because here lately I've been kind of a thorn to FWC. But I'm going to jump up and down about it. I mean, and I hope Carole doesn't find a way to lie her way out of it. I mean, if you're going to look at the Big Cat Safety Act, of course, it's very clear that it doesn't affect her, it affects everybody else. But wait a minute, as I've said before, if you look at the amount of people that have been injured on that property, she's probably the most dangerous facility there is in the state of Florida, but yet she wants to parade around the countryside that she's the best. I just don't know what she's the best at.
Yeah, that list, I have that list that you were talking about, and there are a lot of people, and it's very detailed about what happened to a lot of these people that were attacked. The one lady was basically scalped. And I mean, it's you read it and you just think, if this would have happened once or twice at any other place, it would have probably been shut down. But her place is not, and these are just the ones that we know about, because there's some that's not on that list.
Absolutely, that just got bites in the hands or something of this nature. I mean, that's why I said part of my death threat routine was from Channel 8 News, is that you ain't never been to my place for people getting chewed up like that. I mean, don't that in itself tell you there's a problem here? I'm one of those people that she wants put out of business and never to have. But wait a minute, I don't have the history that she has.
Right.
Why pick on me? I mean, laws should be made to protect everybody, and I am 100% for it. But the laws do need to be equally enforced on everybody, and I don't see it. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, she fits in that loophole where it wouldn't bother her at all. It's people like Vera and Felicia and all these other people that would, and Judy Watson. I mean, those people would all be affected, but this little club that Carole is in, they wouldn't be affected by it at all.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, even there's been a couple problems at Judy's, but even if you look at Judy Watson and the problems that exist at Judy Watson, They don't even begin to compare with what's took place at Easy Street, Big Cat Rescue, whichever way you want to call it. They don't even compare to it, but yet she's going to be one of the places that's left. Right. I mean, if it ever really came to be, my personal opinion is God help the animals, because they're not going in to be cared for or safely handled. Because here's an example where she comes up and down about no close contact with the tigers, which I strongly object to, even for zoos, major zoos against them. They're never going to be released. This is right. The theory of keeping them wild is so stupid, in my opinion. They're not going to be released. They're never going to be released. There is no place for them to live. So they need to be taught things that they can't do and won't tolerate and will, and so that they are handleable. You got to remember, and I use this relation a lot. It's a cat, the little house cat at home. Which I'm surprised one's coming right now across the screen, probably.
Not yet.
He runs out behind the couch and grabs you by the leg. You can shake your leg and knock him off, and everything's fine. But when you're talking about a 500-600 pound cat, he's going to shake your leg. He's going to shake you. So certain things that you just have to do. In my years of FWC, I usually knew the in and outs of every injury there was. I mean, let's go back and look at Busch Gardens when the girl lost her arm there. I questioned the protocol on that one. I've questioned the protocol that was going down when the orangutans kept escaping there. And these are all places that make it out like they're great when there's question to be desired. I mean, it isn't right. And I don't see where Carole Baskin can in any way, shape, or form, be calling the pot black when she's just as black with badness on her side.
Right. Because I guess what people don't realize, and I haven't thought about it too much because I've always been focused on the Don Lewis stuff, but these animals, they're not technically wild animals. Like, they've been captive. They've been around people. Like, I know that they're wild animals, but they're not wild animals anymore. Like,
well, you got one person here that hates the word wild animal. I actually made on a TV station one of Carole Baskin's big time supporters. I'm not sure how, and I'm sure they regretted it, but I got stuck into a panel. I guess they thought that I was going to be a hard-nosed animal rights person, but there was a woman, I can't remember her name, from Stetson College. And she kept running her mouth during this whole show about wild animal this, wild animal that. And here's where I broke it apart on everybody. I go and define what is wild, what is domestic. And she defined it as an animal that had been living with people was domestic. And I said, you've just now you have just completely agreed that lions and tigers are domestic animals. And of course she says no. And I said, on the contrary, since the beginning of time, the wealthiest people have had and maintained big cats. Look at the Egyptian people.
Right. I was just going to say they mummified them.
And therefore, I'm going, they're domestic. And the Stetson law professor got all frustrated because it was a live camera. She couldn't retake back out. And she goes, well, you really can't define the difference. And I says, well, then quit saying the majority of people with wild animals. And it was, it was just, it is a big animal. I mean, how many people tomorrow, first day of the year, across our entire country will get hurt by a big animal? And I'm talking horse, cow. There's actually laws to protect those people from being
donkeys, zebra.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you're going to deal with a big animal, it doesn't mean that the animal viciously is out to hurt you. Just his pure size is going to hurt you. I've been thrown off a few horses. I've been stepped on by a few horses because I laugh all the time and say, I'll take the meanest horse that you come up with and I'll put him in a trailer. Because quite often for law enforcement, in the middle of the night, people's horses or cows are running loose, have no idea where they belong. So we usually end up having to round them up, load them up in a trailer, and get them out of the way so that traffic or whatever they're obstructing can carry on. And they're also very dangerous animals. Their danger is their size.
Correct.
And tigers are going to be the same way. I do not look at dealing with a scared, upset tiger is any more dangerous than dealing with a scared or upset horse or cow. They're both big animals and they can hurt you. The tiger may hurt you through biting you, but anybody that's been kicked by a horse, stomped by a horse, I think you'll find that hurt. I mean, come on, let's look at Christopher Reeves.
Yeah, there's people that get kicked by a horse and it kills them. I mean,
and so you've got that problem. And to me, it's especially with our way our society is right now about, everybody's rights and nobody should be offended, nobody should be hurt. And I look at how in the world can you take something away from all the people who have done no wrong? How can you take the tiger away from me? I've done nothing. I have done things with my tigers that nobody else would ever even consider. I've had my tigers out on a boat, went swimming with them, which I can't say swimming really because I can't swim, but I've still gone into some pretty treacherous water. I've taken my tigers and went walking through woods with them. I have a hard time swallowing that. I mean, it emotionally can get me real upset when I start thinking about it. And I don't look at myself as special. I don't look at myself as being anybody different from you or anyone else in your audience. The only difference is that I went and did it. I sacrificed to do it. You're sitting there drinking your beer. Well, I don't drink, so I waste my money on housing and feeding animals. I don't. So, it gets really confusing, and it aggravates me to think the loss of it is. It aggravates me to see the future generations will not see them. And above all, it bothers me that in the wild, the cats are not going to make it. Their only hope is in captivity. Because I can't imagine living in an area where a 500-pound tiger could come walking across my backyard. I mean, here in Florida, we have, big alligators cross your yard, or occasionally bear. But I can't imagine what it would be like. I feel bad for people of India, Africa, wherever, depending if there's a large animal there. How do you deal with it? Matter of fact, one of the funniest things I think I've ever saw was an article, and it's somewhere in my office because I kept it. It was just so funny because it was talking about a little African village that 6 elephants broke into a place where they were brewing beer and became drunk. And they were rampaging through this little village, this story and everything. What do you do with a drunk elephant?
We need to ask Doc Antle that, I think. But
so it gets to be, how do you control? And I just think it's so wrong to take away. And I always like to add the other section. I'm not advocating, though, that every household needs a tiger chained up to the front yard. By absolutely no means. And the only way that I can defend that is how many houses shouldn't have kids in their front yard.
Right. Or dogs. Anything. Yeah. It could be anything.
So we can't, we live in a society that, unfortunately, what Carole Baskin is trying to head up with the Big Cat Safety Act is really destruction to some more of our rights in this country. Of being able to pursue something and enjoy it. And I can't criticize anybody because I could take my cat and go to a school and look at some 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kid and go, there's people who thinks what I've done with my tigers is amazing, but God only knows what that kid might do in the future and might get them to do and might have a relationship with them. So, I don't know. I can get on my own rant and raves on that. But it bothers me when you start talking about she doesn't know how to do, but yet she's going to tell everyone else how wrong they are.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's perfect example of a hypocrite.
I agree with you. She should not be the person in charge of anything to do with large animals. I mean, that's my opinion, but they don't like her. I don't think she likes them, except for the money that they've brought into her. Other than that, I don't think she really likes them. But I mean, they don't like her. Obviously, that's what it looks like to me. But
Well, I have never really seen any footage that I would consider of her interacting with them really, that I could sit there and watch her reaction to them and how they look at her and deal with her. I can only base it on my own problems. And my own problems is, and many times I've had to go to somebody's house that I have never laid eyes on, for whatever the reason may be, through FWC or local law enforcement. And I've had to enter cages and get all kinds of animals out. And needless to say, when you're in a law enforcement situation, you have to do it careful, quick, and kind. And, you can't roughhouse, you can't treat them, beat them, and whatever. And it's just sad to see it going. I'm an old man, and death won't come to me fast enough.
But who's going to take over your facility?
Nobody.
So then what happens to these animals that you've been taking care of?
My veterinarian will inherit everything that's there, and his knows that my request is that they at least just get to spend the rest of their life there, and at that point it'll be done for.
That's sad to think about, isn't it? Because I know when I saw the animals, they like you. Like is it Raja? Was it Raja the white? Isn't there a white one out there?
Well, we call her Stump Tail, because her tail was removed. But Stump Tail still there. You've got Samson. You've got it's hell to get old.
But yeah, they were very affectionate with you. I mean, when they saw you, they wanted attention. They wanted love. I mean,
they're cats.
Yeah,
Absolutely right. And that white tiger has been through what anybody could classify as hell, but yet she comes into our facility and she knows who I am. She knows to come to the fence. And I remember you were there, sitting there rubbing against the fence, wanting you to scratch her, and pay attention to her. They wasn't off in a corner snarling, waiting for a chance to eat Mr. Ripper's arms off.
Right.
I mean, that just wasn't there. And we don't. We do have, and I have had for all my life. I've been very, very good at what I do, and it is just it's a shame that anybody would try to put an end to it. And I think what they're going to do is create bigger problems. Let's say the state of Florida Fish and Wildlife is trying to pass laws that is only going to make the state of Florida's exotic wildlife a bigger problem. They're not really going to help it. But
that's
that
scary.
I could say is a different show for a different time. But talking about Carole, and I just wish people could look at her and see her for what she really is. If she can't do it, I mean, I still have footage of her moving tigers with a guy named Lance Ramos from a guy's named Robert Bowdy's property, where they literally put a rope around the cat's neck and drug them from one cage to another. And you're talking about a full-grown male tiger as he's screaming and fighting it. And then if you watch the footage, Carole's on there and saying, oh, it looks worse than it is, but they can handle it. No, they can't. Go find any veterinarian who starts talking about neck muscles, neck nerves. Cats' necks are not made the same as putting a rope around a horse neck. It isn't the same. So, yeah, I mean, there's so much. And for whatever reason, Carole always seems to slip through the noose that nobody wants to do anything to her.
Yeah, that seems to be something that's happened time after time after time, but I don't think that's going to last forever. I think those days are coming to an end.
Yeah, well, you have more confidence than I have.
I have a
I
lot of information. I mean,
I've seen her lie so bad, and that's the part that's funny is that nobody in the media ever questions her. When I turned in the complaint about her putting leopards in open top cages, the media ate up her answer is, oh, they changed the law on me. I didn't know. Well, instead of somebody going to the media and look to see, well, when was that? Well, basically, leopards have not been allowed to be in open top cages since the beginning of the law. So they
so
didn't change the law on her. She just used it as an example, just like her reasoning for this 68-year-old woman getting tore up. She comes up with all these reasons that says this woman's wrong. She's not wrong.
right,
It's just
right.
not true.
On that leopard, the open top cage. Can we talk about that?
Sure.
That okay? So tell me what happened. How did that? Did you notice the cage, or how did that come up? What was how did you find out about the open top
Actually,
cage?
one of her volunteers called me and told me about putting the leopards in the open top cage. And as I do with many other people who call me and tell me about certain stuff, okay, prove it. Well, they did. They sent me pictures of it. Then, when I had the pictures, I went to a Lieutenant Steve Delacure and jumped up and down on Steve and said,
Name dropping. Go ahead.
and I said, this is illegal. Well, it took him almost 2 weeks before he got around, give or take a few days in there, to go in there. When I questioned him, he claimed, oh, he was making sure that she didn't have an exemption. She didn't, da-da-da-da. Well, by the time he does decide to go there, the leopard is no longer in the open top cage. The leopard is backed away, so he ends up just writing her a warning ticket. And even that didn't sit good with him. I mean, she was having a fit about it. But when the media questioned it, she just simply told them that they changed the law on her and she was unaware of it, which was an outright lie. And I basically look back at the media and go, why do you just take what she says? She's a liar.
Her volunteer knew it. Her volunteer knew it was illegal. That's why they called you.
Yeah, and
So
they sent me the pictures. So
yeah,
that I, because I've gotten numerous different things told to me over the years that has gone wrong in there. But here's the problem. I don't get involved in just bull crap rumors. Show me something that's proof that it did happen.
right.
Now I'm going to act a little different about it. I'm not going to just buy into the gossip, the rumor routine. And in this case, I had pictures of it.
Right, you do fact checking, which is what a lot of people should do before they start putting
And so,
stuff out.
it clearly was, but that was clearly her reasoning. I will always believe, and nobody will ever change my mind on it, that whether it was Lieutenant Delacure or whoever, somebody in FWC sent it through the chain of commands and went back to her and told her to get the leopard out of there. Because here's the difference. If he would have walked into that property and found the leopard in the open top cage, he would have had grounds then to literally handcuff her and take her to jail. But because he did not actually witness it, all he could do was write her a warning ticket. And I will always believe that somebody in FWC tipped her off that it was coming, and that's why it took Lieutenant Delacure so long before he did anything about it.
Yeah, because if you get a tip from someone over there, then you can get stuff right, and then it has to be proven, which I don't want to ask you about this, but have you ever heard of, oh, I don't know if I want to go here or not. Maybe not, but
I go there. I don't care.
Have you ever heard of someone getting written up for something at a place, and then someone who worked or owned at the place came back and told someone how things needed to be written up and things got changed?
I know
I mean,
exactly what you're talking about.
I think a lot of
Play a
people
very,
know.
very active role in it.
It's pretty crazy when you think about it that that actually happened. I mean,
Yeah.
it's to have that much control over a law enforcement agency is pretty crazy. Uh, but
Yeah, the downside of it is that there's a lot of things that can be looked at there again
mhm,
that you can look at, you can feel was done wrong, you can think it was done wrong, but the downside of it is can you prove it was done wrong? I think it's funny because the answer to that was, well, there's first a preliminary report, and then there's the final report. Okay. Show me another facility that's had that.
mhm,
So far, nobody's found it.
yeah,
When they
yeah,
come into my place, there's not two reports, there's only one. And that was the way that it came back from FWC, is that no, you got the wrong report. You didn't get the final report. You got and that wasn't it either. But I also don't understand why there was 3 officers sent in there. Somebody wanted to clarify a lot of the complaints that were being done. And those 3 officers went in there, which my understanding is, and I can't prove it, but 2 of the officers have gone out of the agency entirely now. Actually, back then they left, not just recently. And but no, you can't find another inspection, no matter how big or how small the facility is, that was done or handled in that manner. It just wasn't done. And there's things that changed. There was things that those officers found wrong, and they got overrode. They got
right,
told, no, yep, can't
yeah.
do it.
Someone,
And that's
some,
wrong.
someone higher up the chain over in Tallahassee probably had a little say so in that stuff, maybe.
Well, that's why I'm saying that you can't. Anybody that would look at the 2 reports will see, if they had a sliver of ideal of Florida laws, will see, well, wait a minute, this is a violation, but on the second report, it doesn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah.
happened to that? I mean, they just sort of,
Yeah.
well, we ain't talking about that one.
Right. Yeah.
And FWC's got some people in its management department, that's a law enforcement division, that are quite cocky, if you want to call them. And of course, I'm also done the same thing, and I'm being accused quite often of is I'm very condescending.
Really?
But the only part difference is that I just usually look at the officers, and I've been around so damn long that I know. I mean, not too long ago, I had somebody look at one of the officers in that place that I happen to be at, and they referred to the officer as the inspector. And I said, no, his title is investigator, and that can be debated. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we've tried. I know I personally have even tried to get our governor to take a closer look at FWC, and so far they're not. And don't get me wrong, I am not for no rules or regulations, not at all. I am a very strong advocate of non-native stuff does not belong running in my state. I don't believe that iguanas should be falling out of trees when it cools down. I don't believe there should be one python wandering in our state. But I also believe that we should have the rights to have them for those people who are properly caring for them.
Correct.
The other side of the coin is to try to get FWC to do anything about what they call lower in a totem pole. Because if you went back and look at old newspaper articles of my life 25 years ago, I was bitching then that Burmese and rock pythons should be permitted. Matter of fact, I can remember talking to a Lieutenant Dennis Parker, and complaining about this big python that I picked up. And his statement to me was he's never going to write anybody a ticket for their pet snake getting loose. Well, wait a minute. We're talking about a big python. And that is because in my years, I've went and had to get pythons. I can remember one call where I got called for the sheriff's department, and the woman screaming and hollering, the python has her baby, and she hung up on 911. And I got dispatched along basically the same time as the cops did. And I get there, it turns out her baby wasn't really a baby. It was her dog. I got the dog away from the snake. It was dead. But, you know, the woman did send it to a frizz that there was a human baby being eaten by a big python.
Which could happen.
Oh, yeah. But even in that one, the owner of the snake was never charged.
And now it's a big problem in Florida. The python population.
I don't believe that it's that big of a problem.
You don't?
Again, I'm going to step back and say one is too many. However, you know, you'll hear some of the numbers up there. There's 200,000 snakes loose in South Florida. I don't think so. And I'm going to base it on thank God he's no longer in government. Getting old, my brain goes dead. It'll come to me in a minute. But one of the U.S. senators, God, I hate it. I can't think of his name.
You'll think of it in a minute. Here, I'll help you.
He was running his mouth to the media about how we need to make laws taking pythons away from people, la-di-da-di. The pythons have ate all the animals in South Florida. No animals lived in the Everglades. Then come the first day of the first big python hunt. He comes walking out of the woods, and what comes out of his mouth? We've seen every kind of animal that lives in the Everglades, but no pythons. Well, wait a minute. You've said earlier. There is none. And so, you know, it makes me mad. I can't think of his name. But he's lost office, so it's fine. He can go to the retirement home.
They're pushing some kind of agenda then, because from what I've seen, they make it out like it's a big giant problem. But in actuality, it's not. That's what I get for believing the media.
Well, yeah, I mean, and unfortunately, a lot of people believe stuff in the media because the media basically only runs its mouth on what's bad. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're getting off the subject of Carole, but you start talking about the guy down in Sarasota that claimed and set up the big python in the culvert in front of the daycare center. And then Justin Matthews, his name came to my mind, and Justin Matthews bought that python and then took it down there and called the media, and he needed help getting this big python and acted like the snake was so. And he set every bit of it up. He lied through his teeth.
It was all a setup.
And then FWC wasn't going to do anything to him, except I knew where he bought the snake. I knew where he got the snake. I knew the whole 9 yards. And I basically blackballed them into doing it because I said, if you don't, I'm going to the media and I'm going to jump up and down and scream and holler that he lied about it all. And so, and that is, I believe, if you watch the TV shows, and I can't watch the so-called reality shows on catching the pythons and that because I detect BS.
Right. But I haven't watched any of them, but
yeah, you ain't missed nothing.
Yeah. Speaking of reality shows, there was one that came out in March of 2020, and that's when I first heard your name. Well, sorry, it wasn't a reality show, it was a documentary. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I said that. Oh, but anyway, there is a documentary that came out. And that's when I first heard of your name from this show called Tiger King. Now, before we started on here, you and I talked about, I don't know if you're having it for dinner or something, but what I hear Michelle laughing. Can you show the audience what the I don't even know what to say. Can you show the audience what it is you have sitting there to your? I'm sure it's sitting to your right, correct?
I don't care. This is not a joke. This is legitimate. You can go to the website and find it. But I just had to show this to Jack.
If you have kids watching now, cover their eyes.
It's just soup.
It's soup. So what? It's cock flavored soup mix. A Caribbean favorite, but I think earlier Vernon said it was a Tiger King favorite. I'm not real sure the exact comment, but when he first came on earlier, he had this up and he's like, "Hey, I got your dinner for you." I knew then I brought a beer in here for a good reason. So is that do you mix it with water, or does it have noodles in it?
No, I don't eat it.
You don't. When it gets warm, do the noodles get bigger, or how's it work?
I have no idea. I can send you a package.
I'm not so sure I want one, but maybe next time I come to Florida, you and I can eat a big bowl of cock soup. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe. There's just no good
sense of humor. I make fun of anything and everybody. I make fun of Joe, but I made fun of Joe to his face. I make fun of people that, and it's done in humor. Unless you really, really tick me off, I do not ever want to hurt somebody's feelings.
Right, and
I will tease you.
Right, you will.
And I noticed that, you must have known because you have a yellow shirt on to go with the package.
Oh. Oh, I did not know. I'm just going to put this disclaimer. I did not know anything about the cock-flavored soup. I had no idea about it.
But it is legitimate. I mean, people go online, they can see it. I think they ought to give me a hit, though, some money, because
I
bought it and I have given it to tons of people for Christmas present. It was Michelle that actually, the truth is known, that started it, because we were having pizza at this little pizza restaurant, and she goes, "Oh, you won't believe this," and she starts thumbing through her phone and gets pictures, and I'm going, "Riot, where did you see that?" And then she told me it was across the street at a grocery store, Save-A-Lot, and I went over and bought all they had, and then I first went to all my neighbors and stuck a package in everybody's mailbox. So it was basically done as a I but it is legitimate food.
It's pretty funny.
I mean, it's not something you think of.
I'm trying not to think of it. But I do want, I think I want to reach out to them and see if they'll send you like a big box of it so that you can. Well,
I think it's best if it's served with 2 Vienna sausages.
I knew it was going to be something. So, but is it just the mix? Like, is it just like the powder? Or
yeah, and basically you just add hot water to it.
Okay. All right. I don't know where to go from here. Like I'm curious what cock flavored soup would taste like, but I can't say that to you because
mail this tomorrow to him.
I will. Well, all right. I think I'm going to end it here. It's been an hour. It's been a really fast hour. And it is the end of 2020. We're just when people watch this, we'll be hours away from the New Year's. What, if you had to reflect on 2020, not mentioning the pandemic, but let's say that never happened. What are some of the memories you have of 2020 that are positive? I know you got to have some positive stuff from 2020.
I think I've really enjoyed meeting you.
I have enjoyed meeting and talking to you as
Okay.
well. I kid you not.
I mean, I have a weird, sick sense of humor. Okay. So you've obviously bit into it.
I'm just trying to figure out if that's a compliment or not.
And actually, a few of the other people I think that I've met as a result of Tiger King. I mean, another one that comes to my mind that I really enjoyed. He's only 25 years old, and he was a producer for Dateline. Jordan. I really enjoyed meeting him.
Oh, Jordan was with CBS 48 Hours.
Was it 48? Oops.
Yep.
Blew that one in, didn't I?
No, it's yeah. Jordan is from CBS, but
Right,
I know who you're talking about. Nice guy.
I've done so many, I get confused, but I really enjoyed meeting him.
Yeah.
So, I think it's some of the media that I've met, if that's a highlight. And I think that's probably the best part. I'm 68 years old, and I'm basically coming to the end of my life. And those you and like Jordan will be somebody that I will remember from years to come. And I really did enjoy it because I don't know. I guess I like to enjoy if I meet people and they are really who they are. It's not some phony front or something, or trying to pull some wool over somebody's eyes. I mean, that's why you talk about that. I've been offered multiple times reality shows, and I usually blow them because I usually say the loss of people having animals for pets is a very serious thing to me. Mm-hmm. And I hate the reality shows because I think they project a picture that isn't fair. And whether it be the pythons in the Everglades or the crap that people put out there about owning a big cat. I mean, the animals that I have got to know in my lifetime, such as the tigers and stuff that I've got to do with them, the things that I've got to do with bears. I think there's just no way to measure the enjoyment that I've been brought to me. And mm-hmm. I think it's a damn shame that our country's going to head down the way that's going to be going. And I think they need to stop and also look at, okay, you can say that people in the United States don't need a tiger, but you better stop and look at in their own natural habitat. They're not going to survive there either.
They're losing it. They're right. Losing their homes.
You're taking everything away from them.
Right.
And I tried to look further down the road. I mean, I could, Carole Baskin is, an example of, to me, what's wrong with our world. But it takes all of us to be here. And I just
she's getting ready to be on CNN. Like, she's going to be on their New Year's show here in a few hours.
Yeah, big deal. I've been on there before.
I just find that crazy that we live in a world where there's so much controversy surrounding her and she's being paraded around like a celebrity.
Anybody will do anything for
ratings. Yeah.
Why was she on Dancing with the Stars? Because she was a superb dancer? No, it was ratings. I mean, how many mm-hmm. times people have hit me with that? She was on Dancing with the Stars. Why not? Because the producers of Dancing with the Stars was great. I mean, they got people to look at the show that
I never looked
at it.
I've never watched it before. I mean, they got
never have and never will.
Yeah, I mean, I think next year there will be a lot of people that will regret a lot of decisions that they made when some of this stuff comes out. Because there's going to be some stuff that comes out that, it's going to be jaw dropping. It really is.
Well, I hope you're right, but I don't believe it. And I won't believe it until I see it. And you already know that's how I feel about it.
I know.
But like I've said from day one, it ain't hard if you open your eyes to see that she can't tell the truth.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you.
That's the bottom line. So anything that comes out of her mouth, as I've said multiple times, how can you tell when Carole's lying? Her mouth is moving.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I had pleasure being here as anyways. And, I'll be working hard for our next meeting to find something else to mess with you with.
I look forward to it. Tell Michelle to quit laughing. She's encouraging you. All right, Vernon, thanks for being on here. Michelle, thanks for helping get him set up to get on here. And I will let you know the next time I head to Florida. Which,
by all means, we'll have some fresh pot on the counter.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Vernon. Thank you very much, everybody. Say goodbye to Vernon. He'll probably be asleep by the time I actually play this on the air later tonight. But Vernon, thanks again. I appreciate it. Don't go anywhere.
My pleasure.